Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. We have a very interesting situation happen between Soledar and Siversk. Soledar is located on the north from the Bakhmut city. Russia occupied the city the last year and today they tried to advance through this road towards Siversk city. My mistake, it's not a city but a town. It is not very big, but if you compare it with the nearby settlements, it is larger than the local villages. Ukraine has a command center over there, so the main strategic goal of the Russian army is to occupy this town. It plays a great strategic role in this area. It is located on a crossroad and also it's the supply hub for Ukrainian army. So today, firstly, Russians tried to advance to the local villages, but failed even with this mission. I was up to show you the video, but here it says the following content may contain graphic or violent imagery. That's why I cannot show you the full video, otherwise this video would be also restricted. So I will publish the link on my Telegram channel. To subscribe for my Telegram channel, you may check out the video description just below. My friends, I do highly recommend you to subscribe for my Telegram group because I update the information there daily. What I possibly can show you is the huge Russian convoy. There were some of the tanks, but mostly armored vehicles. Here you can see them advancing just through the road. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vehicles, 2 tanks and 4 BMPs. Full of infantry inside and on the top. Later on Russians decided to cross the field, thinking that it would be safer for them. But nope, it didn't help. The Russian convoy was ambushed. The first tank rolled over the anti-tank mine TM-62 and the second one was targeted by the FPV drone. You can see that our officers obtained a live picture from what is happening on the warfield. Judging on the screen, those are the standard Mavic drones. So simple drones play a great role in this war. As a result, all of the Russian armored vehicles were just kaputted by Ukrainian army, and those few Russian soldiers who were lucky made it back to their positions. It happens to most of the Russian mid-wave attacks. But sometimes Ukraine is just in lack of resources to repel the Russian assault attempts, and those could be successful in those kind of the cases. So again, the Russian army wastes huge resources, in this case useless losses. By the way, this job was done by the K2 battalion of the 54th Separate Army Brigade. Those guys are really beasts. Meanwhile, the Russian offense minister said that they want to expand the Russian army, hiring more soldiers and producing more of the weaponry. He didn't say about the number of the soldiers they want to hire in the Russian army, hire, maybe mobilize. But definitely he said that the Russian army will be much bigger. On this decision he relied to the supreme commander of the Russian army, Vladimir Putin. So Putin sees future war. He wants to escalate, he wants to have a bigger army, and he even calls Russian women to breed, to have more potential for the mid-waves. Yes, kids need time to grow to become soldiers, but Putin in power since 1999 and many people in Russia, young generation, didn't remember the other president. And it's not really about Putin. I believe that it's about the Russian KGB circle in Kremlin. In the future they may put some other leader but continue the same way, the way of escalation. Let's return to the front lines update. There is the Russian assault vector towards Terny. Unfortunately, Russia took some of the territories, but from the information we have, Ukraine also was able to stop the Russian assault using artillery and FPV drones. Right, about the Terny and Yampelovka, I got the information that 9 of the army vehicles of the Russian army were totally ambushed. 2 Russian armored vehicles saw what happened to their friends and turned back to their positions on time for them. This information is kind of fresh, so I don't have photos or videos to share with you right now at this moment. Hopefully we can obtain the confirmation tomorrow, I mean video confirmation. The fight between the Russian opposition forces and the Russian regular army continues in Belgorod Oblast. This is the most recent update from the place. What's the difference for today? That Russia started to use aviation bombs to bomb their own villages. Yes, we understand that there could be some of the soldiers of Legion of Freedom or the Russian Volunteer Corps, but again, they're destroying their own houses with aviation bombs. The tactics of Russia is the same whether they fight in Ukraine or in their own territory. Demolish everything and that's it. Let's go to the Bakhmut once again, because according to the latest update, Ukraine evacuated the hospital from the Chasiv Yar. So if someone gets wounded near to the front line, a soldier should be delivered to some other place further away from the front lines, and unfortunately it's not good, because every minute matters to save the lives of the wounded soldiers. But here, unfortunately, under the huge bomb strikes, Ukraine had to evacuate the hospital somewhere in this place. Well, I know the town, but I will not tell you. For the last couple of days, Russia dropped around 200 aviation bombs. It happened after they targeted the Ukrainian Patriot system, so now Ukraine is out of the tools to target the Russian aviation. So Russia targets everything around which is close to the front lines. The Russian aviation bombs are their biggest advantage, so hopefully Ukraine will receive F-16s as soon as possible to counter the threat, but unfortunately, according to our information, which is also published in the media sources, Ukraine will receive F-16s in July, which is very late. So now Russia uses this time window to target everything around and to propel forward. A national security advisor of the United States of America, Jake Sullivan, visited Kiev today, and he gave quite interesting press conference. Let's listen to Jake and what he said about the military support of Ukraine.
From our perspective, we are confident we will get this done. We will get this aid to Ukraine. And in the meantime, we're not just waiting. As Andriy mentioned, just last week we announced from the White House podium a package of $300 million of ammunition, air defense, and other critical supplies that are needed right now on the front lines, and we are rushing those supplies to you as we speak. So we are going to do everything in our power to continue to support you in your efforts as you go forward, and we will work with the rest of the world as well, a coalition of more than 50 nations standing strong in support of Ukraine.
So he is sure that the military bill will be voted in Congress, in House of Representatives. However, at the same time, MAGA group of Republicans want to issue their separate bill where they want to loan the military help for Ukraine. Honestly, in a current situation, Ukraine doesn't care whether it's just a gift or a loan. Basically, Ukraine needs it to survive. You may compare it with a cancer patient who doesn't have enough treatment and may die at any moment, so he or she doesn't care whether the treatment will be for loan or for free. The important thing is to survive. But what MAGA group of Republicans want to achieve? They prolong this time before Ukraine obtains the military support from the United States, making the situation for Ukraine even worse, so the patient stays without any treatment. Probably they will put the new bill through the House, and later on it will go to Senate. There will be some of the discussion, arguments. They will extend it as long as possible to give Russia more time. At least I see it like that. And what is next? Elections, and Biden wasn't able to cope with the Ukrainian issue. Why? Why Biden didn't give Ukraine the military support? Only Trump may resolve this issue, that is what they say. So Ukraine should struggle for Trump's ambitions. If the current bill, which had already passed Senate, is not okay, just put it for voting in the House and we'll see, alright? We have a ready bill, ready project, put it for voting, Mike Johnson, because in the House there are all of the representatives from all of the places of the United States, directly given the power by people. So let the House members vote, against it, for it, doesn't matter. There is democracy. But somehow Mike Johnson is just scared to put it for voting. He afraid for his own political career, that's it. His ambitions could be easily destroyed by Donald Trump and the MAGA group. They already annihilated the previous Republican speaker. Mike Johnson says that he is a religious person. He believes in Jesus Christ. So he believes in devil too, yeah? Because devil exists in Christian religion, so hopefully he'll have a special place in the hell for him personally. I'm saying it because our soldiers and our civilians literally losing their lives in this fight. And because of the Mike Johnson's inaction, the losses are much higher than it could be. So yeah, hopefully we can obtain the military support from our main ally, the United States of America, the country which we always respected and continue to respect, even now. But what I think that the United States should do in parallel to supporting Ukraine is to upgrade the educational system. Let's watch this video and you'll understand why. Here we have the person with the MAGA hat, but don't be angry on him, and later on you'll see why.
What do you think about the funding of Ukraine?
No, I don't think that should happen.
Why not?
Because we need to take care of America first.
I'd make the argument that funding Ukraine is exactly how we put America first, because a lot of people think we're sending cash bags, but we're sending old military equipment, right? And after we send that military equipment, we get to create new American jobs to restock and repile that.
That's a good point.
On top of that, do you think Vladimir Putin's our enemy?
Not really.
Really, why not?
Because I think he's trying to run his own country. And he's not, I don't think he is a threat to America.
It's okay that he's running his own country, but the problem is when he starts to invade other countries next to him. So we should protect our allies, essentially, right?
I agree.
So
that's like us trying to invade Canada.
And that wouldn't be okay.
Right.
So to piece my argument together, we're creating new American jobs, and in the process, we get to protect an ally, a sovereign country, Ukraine, from, I think Vladimir Putin is a dictator. He's a threat. He's not a good guy. So I think we're protecting America's interests. I think this is exactly how we put America first, right? Can you see that point of view?
That is a very good point. That's a good point. You've educated me a lot. I appreciate that.
Awesome, and we're both coming from the same point of view of putting America first.
Right.
How can we put America first on the world stage? And sometimes it scares me when they say we put America first by letting Vladimir Putin do what he wants. That doesn't make sense.
Right. How old are you?
21.
You're very wise for your age.
As you see, just a small educational lesson and the guy just changed his mind completely. Well, actually, I like this guy with a MAGA hat. Why? Because he accepted the other opinion and he said, "Oh, you educated me today." That's rarely seen among politician opponents. This guy's just blessed with this open mind thinking, even though we see that he's not really educated. Probably he lives in his own farm, in his own local community. He speaks with the same people all the time who share the same political ideology, let's say. And probably it's the first time for a very long time for him to see the other opinion with proven arguments. But he's smart enough to accept those. So it is very important actually to not focus on your own community, wherever political views you have. The wider you think, the better it is for everyone basically. As you know, watching this channel, I'm against Donald Trump being a United States president, because he does everything to cancel the military support of Ukraine. But if you support Donald Trump, I personally have nothing against you. I would say I would drink the beer with this guy easily. But what I do on my channel is exactly what this guy did, to provide some arguments for you to maybe think about your views. For now, just this time, think about what Trump might bring to the United States and to the world in general, because the United States is not on other planet. It is still here on Earth. So just think about it, weight on the scales, good, bad, and make your choice. But with your mind rather than heart. Listen to me, listen to other guys, and decide in the future elections. They're coming in November, but already the informational field gone crazy about it. Great news from Spain. They'll transfer 20 more Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. Those are the German Leopards, but similar will be sent to Ukraine. Leopard 2A4 modification. Those are modern but kind of outdated compared to Leopard 2A6, which we also have in Ukrainian army. The thing is that those tanks should go through the maintenance procedure at first. It takes some of the time, so probably in a couple of months Ukraine will obtain those tanks. It is good, the Leopard 2 delivery works again. Alright, this time not a good news. Russia intensified the building of the new railroad, which will connect Rostov-on-Don and Simferopol, Crimea. Well, actually Sevastopol as well, because there is a direct connection between Simferopol and Sevastopol too. So why Russia is doing it? They want to supply their group in Kherson Oblast and also Crimea. They think that Ukraine may cut the Kerch Bridge connection. Putin openly said about it yesterday during his concert in Moscow. So from the strategic perspective of the supply lines, the important time for Ukraine to cut the Kerch connection has already passed. Why? Well, let me explain. Even if Ukraine cuts the Kerch Bridge connection, Russia would have the alternate way to Crimea, so they don't really care about their Kerch Bridge any longer. And there is no any close perspective for Ukraine to initiate this operation against the Russian supplies of Crimea. We are simply out of ATACMS and out of the other long-range missiles like Taurus, which would be able to kaboom the Kerch Bridge. But let's say Ukraine somehow cuts the Kerch connection just right now or tomorrow morning. Well, temporarily Russia will struggle with their supplies of the southern region, but there is no active fight. Ukraine went to defense. Russia had built significant defense lines which Ukraine is unable to penetrate, so it's unable to go and cut this potential railroad. So still this year Russia would build that railroad. In any sort of the scenario, we are out of the tools to stop it. Yes, there could be some of the occasional attacks by Storm Shadow or Scalp, but it wouldn't solve the situation in general because it's a long infrastructural supply line. You cannot just eliminate it with a single or even 50 of the Storm Shadows. It isn't the oil refinery facility or something. The golden moment for Ukraine was the last year, so if Ukraine had cut the Kerch Bridge connection, simultaneously performing the attack towards the Russian group over here, having enough military support, Russia would be out of the connections to Crimea in general. But today this operation is simply not possible. But we speak about short up to middle range perspective. In a long-term perspective, Ukraine has potential to cut this supply line too. It could be only done using the ground forces in the place. So Ukraine would have to move forward. And this is the video from the place of how Russia builds this railroad. Construction works go there 24/7. At the same time, Pope Francis said about the peace negotiations between Ukraine and Russia, once again calling Ukraine for some sort of the peace deal with Putin. Well, in the current situation, it's simply not possible, and most of the people understand that. The war between Russia and Ukraine started not in 2022, but in 2014, since Russia occupied Crimea and started its special military operation in Donbass. The same year we signed the peace agreements with Russia, and what it led to the new war. So if Ukraine signs any sort of the agreements with Putin today, tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow, Russia will strike again. I'm not making it up, just listen to any sort of the interview with Putin that he says about Ukraine. Every time he mentions that Ukraine shouldn't exist, it is the part of Russia. Ukraine is Russia, there is no difference, so Ukrainians are Russians. Watch the Tucker Carlson interview with Putin. There he says about it, his main idea is to join Ukraine back to Russia as it was in Soviet Union. But even in Soviet Union, Ukraine was a separate republic. Putin doesn't need even that. He's basically a sick dictator which only could be stopped by force. But some people do not understand that. This is one of the latest satellite images of the Engels airport of Russian strategic aviation. There was a report about the drone attack on this airfield this night. Hopefully tomorrow we're gonna see a new satellite image to check out whether the attack was successful or not. On this satellite image, it's being confirmed that there are at least 9 of the strategic bombers presented on the apron, mostly Tupolev 95s, which Russia constantly uses to target Ukraine. Absolutely great news are coming from the Czech Republic. They already transferred 300,000 artillery shells to Ukrainian army. Awesome. 500,000 to go, and still I'm out of clue from which country they obtained those shells from Ukraine, or maybe the group of the countries. Some say that those could be friendly with the Russian Federation. Czech president, with his initiative to support Ukraine with the shells, is just our hero. My friends, please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And also, if you want to support my job, you may check out some of the links in the video description just below. Special thanks for my Patreon supporters and the sponsors of my YouTube channel. Guys, you are awesome. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.